Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. The first story: woman didn't listen to me and got stuck in the elevator. The second story: team manager tries to get one over on staff. Executive overrules their decision. The third story: I helped a coworker to retire. Today's first story is: I need that elevator now. So I'm an elevator technician. When they break, I'm the one who fixes them. When parts wear out, I replace them. You get it. The other day, I was on a job replacing a worn-out emergency light. Back in the day, it was a habit to use the battery of the emergency light to power the elevator's siren system. Modern emergency lights have different voltages being LED, so I can't use the old way of connecting everything. So I have to wire everything up from scratch, including new battery and siren. No big deal, but it takes a little longer to complete the task. Note that this is a 3-stop elevator: ground floor, first and second. I start with hanging up all my out-of-order signs and start working on the ground floor. 5 minutes in, just disassembled the old piece, the story begins. In comes the entitled woman, mid-40s, can walk perfectly fine, carrying one barely filled grocery bag. Me, yours truly, EW, entitled woman. D, her lovely daughter, around 15 years old. EW, excuse me, is the elevator broken again? Me, not exactly, ma'am. I'm changing this, showing her the new emergency light, because the old one wasn't working anymore. This will probably take about an hour to complete. At this point, her daughter walks in. EW, how am I supposed to get my groceries upstairs? Me, getting annoyed. I look at her bag and give her the "are you effing kidding me" look. D, mom, seriously, take the stairs. It's 2 floors. Clearly annoyed. EW, no, I pay for this elevator and I need it now. D, I'm going up, and takes the stairs. EW, how long is this gonna take? Me, like I said, ma'am, about an hour. The woman then sits her A down on a bench in the hallway waiting for me to finish. Really? Oh well, I do my thing in the cabin, not hurrying at all. Mount the new E-light to the ceiling and pack my things to go 1 floor up to start the wiring on top of the cabin. EW, you done yet? Me, no ma'am, I still have to wire things up on top of the elevator. EW, no, I can see you're done. You're packing your things. Me, yes, I have to take my bag 1 floor up so I can start on the wiring. EW, can't I use it now? Me, no ma'am, you can't. There's exposed wiring up there. If you use it now, you can cause a short, and you will get stuck. It's really not safe. EW, fine. And she sits back down on the bench, seriously peeved off. I take my bag and make my way upstairs. As soon as I stand in front of the first floor door, I hear the door on the ground floor close, and sure enough, EW went into the elevator and tried to take it upstairs. Heck no, I wasn't having that. I take my emergency key, and as soon as the elevator started moving, I open the lock, cutting the safety chain, and the elevator comes to a sudden stop. This scared the SH out of her and she screams. I open the door, and in my most fake surprised voice I yell, "Oh no, what have you done?" while calmly pressing the emergency stop on top of the elevator. Yep, this thing isn't going anywhere soon. Me, this is exactly why I said the elevator is unsafe to use now. I'll do my best to get it working again ASAP, but you made a mess up here, so I don't know how long it's gonna take. There was no mess, but I couldn't resist teaching her a little lesson. EW swears, yells, and makes a scene. Me, I'll be right back. I have to go to the engine room to see if I can get it working again. I close the door and make my way up. On the second floor, the daughter came out of the apartment because of the yelling of her mother. I quickly explained what happened. D, raising her voice, "Oh no, please get her out of there." But then she comes closer and whispers to me, "Don't hurry, make her suffer." That's my kind of girl. Music to my ears. I smile, give her a thumbs up, and make my way up to the engine room. I call my supervisor to explain the situation, in case she files a complaint. In the engine room, I start playing around with the fuses, putting her in the dark, because yeah, I haven't connected the E-light yet. I play with her for about half an hour before I turn off the emergency stop I activated. The elevator synchronizes to the lowest floor, and I wait for the doors to open. Me, please don't ever do that again. EW white as a sheet, shaking. No, I won't. And she takes the stairs and goes inside. I never heard from her again. I calmly finish my job and leave the building with a smile on my face. Mission accomplished. I made sure there was never any risk. It was intentional that the elevator was able to move because I needed it to. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to access the car top because of the distance between the floors. I tested all safeties I was going to need before I started the work. I disconnected the old light, which was conveniently with a plug, when I tested said car top safeties, so there never were exposed live wires. When I blocked the door with my bag, I never left the site. On every floor, the out-of-order tag was placed over the floor call buttons, and the reason why I initially started working on the ground floor is so people who enter the building can clearly see me working when the elevator was still active. The moment when I started working on the car top and people couldn't see me when entering the building, I did make use of the stop sign that I already tested to prevent the elevator from reacting to calls. Every action I took was well thought out, potential risks were considered, and actions were taken to eliminate them. If I really needed that elevator to stay where it was, I would make sure it would, and the only people I've seen during that entire time I've been there were the two mentioned in the story. No, there never was any risk of anybody getting hurt. The second story is, new manager enacts major team changes and forcing staff to a will. Enjoy losing your A players. Many months ago, I worked at an IT help desk for a large multinational firm. We did desktop PC and Mac repair. We also managed the phone systems, email, and file servers. My team was located at Corp headquarters. Since it was a large facility, we carried two-way radios at the time. We used the radios to dispatch calls while we were away from our desks. We were a solid team with great management. There were approximately 2,000 end users we looked after. The end users were corporate finance, marketing, IT analysts, etc. The executives for each of these divisions were located in this complex. The senior team members, myself included, provided white glove service to the executives. We worked nights and weekends when it was required, e.g. server installations and migrations. My team were well known and liked throughout the organization, mostly because we did a great job at solving those pesky computer problems. This team operated flawlessly for years. Then our manager was promoted to a director. They hired a woman from outside the firm. I've never had a problem working with women, nor a woman as my manager until now. We'll call her Alicia. A little background. A small portion of the team were allowed to do server installs and migrations. This was considered more delicate work. It required senior staff. It was considered to be a step up on the team if you were on the server maintenance staff. I was one of them. Doing server installs and migrations also got you out of doing grunt work with the end users. It was a nice change of pace. I enjoyed this work. Alicia immediately put changes in place. She mandated only team members with NetWare certification. I'm dating myself. We're allowed to do server installations and migrations. I didn't have this certification. However, I learned by trial and error. I had completed dozens of server installations and migrations flawlessly prior to her arrival. Alicia didn't care. She knew only the best were certified. Since this meant a sort of demotion for me, I obviously wasn't happy. I let her know. She noted it. She also noted this was done in stone and wasn't going to change anything. I went back to PC desktop duty. I wasn't happy, but couldn't do anything about it at the time. The first server migration queued up under this new arrangement was the new email server. The process was to build new server during the week. Start email server backup COB Friday night. When backup was complete, implement new server into production and restore email. Simple. However, I wasn't certified, so I wasn't allowed to help. There were a few people on the team selected to do this install. Hey, they were certified. They had not done any live installs or migrations prior to this event. I had a great weekend. The server migration team did not. The team was still working feverishly on Monday 9 a.m. to get the new server online. They decided it was too late to back out of the migration. They couldn't figure out how to resolve their issue. I mentioned a few things to check and gleefully went about my duty. I was called to a senior executive's office. He was second in command of the CIO. I was going about my business helping him with his PC. It's now 10:30 a.m. and 2,000 end users don't have email. He asked if I knew about the email outage and I confirmed. He could hear the chatter on my radio and was concerned. He mentioned if I knew the details of the problem and the resolution. I answered affirmative. I also answered that I wasn't allowed to help. He picked up his phone and spoke to someone. 30 seconds later, I'm called over the two-way radio to make my way to the server room immediately. I show up and there are 20 people standing over a console. 10 to 15 of them are executives from the corporate divisions. Alicia and her smug face was present as well. This server migration team is looking like they had better days. They looked like zombies. I ask a few questions. Then I swing into the command seat at the console. I now have 20 people staring over my shoulder. 30 minutes later, I resolve the problem, and email is fully functional. I gleefully go back to my PC desktop duty. Fast forward about 5 to 6 weeks. I decided I'm not staying around for more of Alicia's nonsense. I interview and am selected to be hired at a different division. This is the client side of the business, the big leagues. No more PC help desk for me. I talk to HR, and there's some minor paperwork to process for the internal transfer. My new manager wants me to start ASAP. He speaks with Alicia, and they set a date for 3 to 4 weeks out when I will transfer. I'm pumped. My last day on the PC team is on a Friday. I step into Alicia's office in the AM to say nice working with you, good luck in your future endeavors. She plays dumb and asks where I'm going. I remind her of the date for my transfer to the client division. She said she hadn't signed the paperwork for the transfer. She really needed me to stay for another 4 to 8 weeks so she could hire a backfill. Let's just say I wasn't happy. Like, really not happy. I head off to my desk in quite the foul mood. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Now I'm peeved because I'll probably lose that new job. Then I get a PC troubleshooting call at the office of the CIO. I head over there and meet up with the CIO's executive assistant. She's a super sweetheart. She and I always hit it off, as she was always great to work with. She also knew I was usually a very happy-go-lucky person. Usually. She notices my mood is not my usual self, and she was concerned. I explained to her the situation with my new job, and Alicia's response. The executive assistant says, "Stay right here, I'll be right back." Meanwhile, I'm fixing her PC problem. She's busted into a meeting the CIO was holding, with all of his executives from around the country. A pretty big deal. She stopped him in his meeting and explained the situation. She then came back to her computer and typed something, then printed it. She went back into the meeting. 2 minutes later, she handed me a simple letter from the CIO. It plainly stated Friday was my last day, and Monday I was going to be working at the client division, and good luck with my new adventure. It was signed by the CIO. She kept a copy and asked me to give a copy to Alicia. She gave me a hug and said good luck with my new role. I immediately skipped into Alicia's office and handed her the letter. I said thanks for everything and good luck. Needless to say, she wasn't happy. I kept in touch with a few of the former coworkers. Most of the good ones left shortly after I did. Usurping her authority was the revenge, even if I did it with blind luck. And the last story is calling her fake quitting bluff. This happened years ago but still makes me smile. I started working in a corporate office in a secretarial position for my first job after college. There were 2 older ladies who were also secretaries working in the office. One of them was just fine, but I spent most of my time sitting beside and working with Agnes. Agnes was quickly approaching retirement age, but wasn't going anywhere without a big push. This was in the days where we just started getting computers, and she was absolutely hopeless. She'd pull stuff like, "I can't answer the phone, I'm on the computer." Multitasking was not in this woman's repertoire. She was super fussy and annoying. If I ever came back from lunch 5 minutes late, she would exclaim loudly, "OMG, there you are! I was wondering what had happened to you," making sure the whole office knew I was late. Meanwhile, she was usually late coming in the morning, and often left early to various appointments. If I made a typo in a document, she would make sure the rest of the staff knew about it loudly. She tended to pout when things didn't go her way, and she would quit her job when someone peeved her off, and then my boss's boss would talk her into staying. I'd heard about this tactic of hers, and one day, our boss did something that annoyed her, and she quit again. My boss's boss was away that day, so I had my chance. I quickly advertised and planned a big retirement party for her. It was a done deal by the end of the day. People were dropping by and congratulating her, and everyone looked forward to the party. At that point, I guess she figured it was too late to pull her usual shenanigans, and she actually retired. I told my boss to not bother replacing her, because it was easy to cover the little work she actually accomplished every day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.